Hey, before the video starts, I just wanted to let you know that my band's debut EP, the Skip EP, is out now on Bandcamp. I'm still waiting to see if I can put it on streaming, but in the meantime, feel free to check it out. Link in the description. Oyo boyos! Summer is coming upon us, and for the last few weeks, I have been listening to a lot of Alestorm. They're one of my favorite bands after all. They just have this strong blend of catchy riffs, powerful songwriting, and comedic moments. It's almost the perfect ratio, honestly. When the mood is right, nothing hits the spot quite as well. To capitalize on my recent binge, I thought it might be fun to make a ranking video talking about each release as a whole. I think what got me further inspired to make this video is after listening to their newest album in full. While it's been out for a year, I decided to wait before publishing my thoughts because if I wanted to rank all of their discography, I didn't want recency bias to play too hard in my decision making. Also, just before we get super deep into it, keep in mind that even the albums at the bottom of this list aren't ones I hate, just my least favorites. Alestorm has a pretty consistent track record, for the most part, but I'll talk about those when we get to it. And with all that preamble out of the way, let's set sail and talk about Alestorm. Number 8. I always feel kind of weird about first albums. There's a lot of pressure to make your first album as good as possible, and with the way we glorify albums like Self-Titled and Kill 'Em All, it can be pretty daunting. Though to be honest, I think it's a lot healthier and more realistic to treat first albums as a proof of concept, the planting of the flag for everything to follow. As a result, I don't hate Captain Morgan's Revenge, I just think it's the weakest. It has strong moments, with some of Alestorm's biggest hits finding their place on this release, such as the title track, Captain Morgan's Revenge, which still might be one of Alestorm's most emotionally charged and powerful tracks, and Nancy the Tavern Wench, which has found its way onto nearly every Alestorm setlist to date. As a side, I'm also a big fan of the track Wenches and Mead. I feel it's super strong in its simplicity. In particular, I think this album's greatest strength is the commitment to the bit. Unlike many later releases, this album isn't played for laughs, like at all. It fully immerses itself in its pirate metal style, which I know isn't exactly the proper term, but cut me a break. Now, with all this praise I've heaped onto Captain Morgan's Revenge, how does it find itself this low on the list? Cause I'll be honest, there are totally arguments to be made for their other albums to claim this spot. What I think holds it back for me is something you'll hear a lot from me when I talk about albums: the pacing. I feel if they rearrange the placement on quite a few tracks, this album could be a lot stronger. Also, this album drags in a few places, with most of the middle section of this album feeling like filler. Also, this is Chris's weakest showing as a vocalist. Like, yeah, he has a lower voice, but every other album, he seems to be way more energized, to the point that his delivery here stands out in an unfortunate way. It's not that there are bad songs, so to say, they just don't excite me like the others do. Number 7. Now this is a monumentous occasion, as this is the first Alestorm record to feature both Gareth Murdoch and Peter Alcorn on bass and drums respectively. No, seriously, despite playing live since 2008 and 10, this is their first appearance on an Alestorm record. It seems like the whole crew is finally coming together, and you can feel that transition of style deep in this album. It's at this point Alestorm finds themselves trying to really nail down their style, and unlike later albums, it's a bit on the wonkier side. The thing is, despite being way less focused than, frankly, any of their other albums, what really elevates Back Through Time is its songwriting. The big hits are mainstays. I'm talking Shipwrecked and The Sunken Norwegian, near essentials of any Alestorm setlist. Even the non-singles have some power in them, like Rum, the title track, even Rumpelkampo. I will say this album also has similar pacing issues as Captain Morgan's Revenge, where I think some tracks play just a bit too early. But what puts it over that album is the stronger confidence the band has in itself. We're finally seeing Alestorm find what they want to sound like, and it's only up from here. Number 6. Now this is serious Alestorm at its absolute best. It's everything good about Captain Morgan's Revenge turned up to 11. Every song conveys this grand epic feeling you want out of pirate theming. Even when the album slows down for To the End of Our Days, which might be my favorite song on the album, there's just so much reverence, so much aura here. It's crazy. The pacing on this album is solid. Not as good as later entries on this list, but really strong. It picks up and slows down exactly where it needs to, The horns, especially on this album, do a lot to lift the epic feel. I also love the tone and balancing on the production as a whole. Overall, Black Sails at Midnight is a strong album. I think the only thing that holds it down are a few songs I think could have been reworked. And as Alestorm's sound evolved, getting better at striking that balance betwixt their more comedic bits with their epic pirate feel, Black Sails prefers to play it squarely in the more serious camp. With that being said, I like how you can find hints of Alestorm's more joking nature with tracks like No Quarter, paying homage to Pirates of the Caribbean, and the bonus track P is for Pirate, parodying Sesame Street. Hey, wait a minute. Should I rank the bonus songs Alestorm does? Their bonus EPs? Because Alestorm has released quite a bit of bonus content outside of their mainstay albums. Maybe I'll take a moment at our halfway point and discuss them in order. Anyway, on with the list. Number 5. This album is a weird one. It's a very funny album, and that's about it. This is definitely the album where Alestorm leaned too heavy into the cheese. And I remember the general consensus on this album when it came out was kind of poor. You'd hear things like, they're not pirate metal anymore, they're making too many jokes, they sold out, all that jazz. While I can't say I feel the same, I do think this album is really off balance. The songs are still catchy, and unlike the last few, this album's pacing is amazing. It never feels like you're dragging along at any time. The thing is, it really feels like it's missing that zing, you know? Like I enjoy a lot of the songs off this record, just without that truly epic feel, it feels a little lost. Hey, wait a minute, am I forgetting something? Oh yeah! Inexplicably, this album decides to make a sequel track to a throwaway song off Sunset on the Golden Age. I am not exaggerating when I say Wooden Leg Part 2, The Woodening, is one of, if not the most, epic song Alestorm has ever produced. It stands toe-to-toe with 1741. I love its arrangement, full of 8-bit keyboards, strong percussion, and overall, aura. I think the best part is as the track draws to an end, they play the Wooden Leg riff. I never thought I'd hear a callback like this in music, but I am here for it. Also, ending with Henry Martin was a really nice touch. The album might be better off if they ended with Wooden Leg 2, and this had been a bonus track, but for being Alestorm's first true cover of a classic traditional song, it slides in quite nice. Yeah, you know what? Fuck it. This isn't in the script or nothing. I'm actually switching the placements of Black Sails with this. Initially, I think I wanted Black Sails to be higher because it's more serious, you know? And I like what it represents. But if you ask me which album I'd prefer to listen to between these, it's this one. Comedically strong, catchy as ever, how can you go wrong? Bonus round! All right, now that we're at the halfway point, yes, Alestorm has only released 8 albums. Pretty cool stuff. Anyway, I want to take a moment to talk about some of Alestorm's bonus tracks and albums. That's right, entire albums. Because Alestorm have recently, and by recently I mean since No Grave But the Sea, have released tie-in extra albums. I just want to blast through all these various releases, let you know my thoughts. These aren't ranked in any sort of way. I'll just tell you what I think about them as each one comes up. First piece to talk about is Battleheart. Before Alestorm went all in on their pirate theme, they were called Battleheart. Though if this EP is anything to go off of, when they started properly recording, they settled on the Alestorm thematics. While this album has songs that would be reworked in later releases, it does feature 2 unique songs, Heavy Metal Pirates and a Corpaclani cover of Journeyman. As for the release, all I can say is, oh my goodness. Because I've heard Heavy Metal Pirates before, but the version I'm used to hearing was a little more produced. And Chris's vocals are kinda weak. They lack the presence he gains much later. The Corpaclani cover is pretty cool though. Next, Terror on the High Seas. Again, more songs we'll see later. And I love how they reuse the intro in Captain Morgan's Revenge as a bridge. Then we got the Leviathan EP. And I gotta say, I love the artwork here. Also pretty funny hearing a German rendition of Wenches and Mead, as well as the aforementioned re-recording of Heavy Metal Pirates. Next, we gotta point out our very first proper single, P is for Pirate. I mentioned it in the Black Sails at Midnight section, and seeing this track in that era is pretty jarring, as Alestorm really hadn't delved into much comedy in their music. So it's cool to see it here. Next on the docket, we have a weird one, a pair of bonus tracks on Back Through Time. One being I'm a Cider Drinker, a cover by the Wurzels, and You Are a Pirate from Lazytown. The Lazytown cover is a bit more exciting to me personally, considering how much of a meme that song is. But the other one's pretty cool too. Then we got another cover, this being The Village People's In the Navy. I love that Alestorm always chooses to cover songs that could be tangentially related to pirates in any way possible. Next, we have Live at the End of the World. Cool live performance, the band sounds great. It's also cool to see Danny Evans. You don't see him too much, especially nowadays. Now we get to some fun stuff. Sunset on the Golden Age is the gift that keeps on giving, as it gives us a cover of Rumahoy's Oceans of Treasure, as well as Rumple Combo 3. Like Thanksgiving 3, the direct sequel is nowhere to be found. Ugh. We also have the acoustic covers of previous Alestorm classics on this album. Spoilers for later, but this is some of my favorite Alestorm content ever. Even Questing Upon the Poop Deck. I just wish there was more, you know? Now, we have Live from Summer Breeze, marking the first appearance of Mata Bodor on an Alestorm release. Solid performances, just on the shorter side. Next, we have Skullstorm, a split release between Alestorm and Skullmold. The Alestorm's tracks are pretty cool. It's Drink Again, with this other song called That. Then, we have probably their goofiest release of all time, or at least up until this point. It's the album No Grave But the Sea, but all of Chris's vocals are replaced with synthesized dog barks. No, I don't know why this exists, but sure, why not? Then we've got a pair of singles, Pirate Pizza Party and Flipped with a Sausage, a clean version of Fucked with an Anchor. Good stuff! I appreciate these songs for existing, and I think censoring Alestorm's most profanity-filled track was a hilarious idea. Now we gotta talk about Curse of the Crystal Coconut 16th Century Edition. While on paper, I think it's fine, being an 8-bit crushed version of the album, to me, I think it's a big disappointment, as I thought it'd be like an old school, maybe even acoustic version of the album. But no, I think if it was called 8-bit version, it would be fine. But it wasn't, so it's less so. Curse of the Crystal Coconut didn't leave us dry though, because this album's non-album singles are gas. Big Ship, Little Ship featuring our girl Patty Gurdy, Bassline Junkie as a fun cover, Chicken on a Raft being a fascinating one-off, and the star of the show, The Weller Man. I don't know if y'all remember early 2020, but this song was everywhere, so you knew Alestorm would have to put a spin on it eventually, and it delivers. Next is another live album, that being Live at Tilburg, and man, the crowd is into this one. Can't say I blame them though. The song choice is inspired. One thing I wish you got more of though was the in-between bits. That I think is one of the appeals of live albums, and this one doesn't really have much of that. Whew. Alright, I think that's everything. Oh shit, how could I forget? Out of all of Alestorm's EPs, bonus releases, Voyage of the Dead Marauder is easily the strongest. Definitely the most well-known, seeing as each song, except for Cock, got a video. Hell, even Sea Shanty 2 had a visualizer style thing. I'd go on record saying this as a single release, this might be one of the best package releases to get people into Alestorm. It does a splendid job showcasing Alestorm's diverse styling of writing, including an epic track, again featuring Patty Gurdy, a party track, a cover, 2 actually, but 1 is an instrumental, and a shitpost. What more could you ask for? Whew, man. They had a lot more bonus content than I thought. Sorry if I missed any. You know, if I was a bigger YouTuber, this is the part where I'd put in a word from our sponsor. But I don't have one of those. Anyway, this video is sponsored by me. Check out the Skip EP, link in the description. Tell your friends about it. Seriously, it'll blow your dick. Nailed it. Anyway, what was I talking about? Number 4. Oh man, this one hurts. Having Sunset on the Golden Age at 4 feels so wrong, but I guess that's what you get when so many of your albums are bangers. You know how I've been talking a lot so far about how Alestorm is learning more and more how to balance their unique brand of music? Well, this album opts to be more separate in its style, having more full-blown comedy songs like Drink and Wooden Leg, along with more serious tracks like Magnetic North, and of course the epic 1741, otherwise known as the Battle of Cartagena. This track, I mean, wow. There's a reason it's a fan favorite, not even one that they play live all the time. but it is an all-timer. While there are better albums, this one song is probably Alestorm's strongest work to date. Its only competition in this regard being the aforementioned Wooden Leg 2. Seriously, just put the song on while playing some Black Flag and you're gonna have a great time. Also, I love this album as a farewell to Danny Evans, the original guitarist of Alestorm, as his riff work is at its peak here, and his solos, incredible. To this day, Surf Squid Warfare remains untouched. You could feel him put his all into this one, as if he himself is closing the door on old Alestorm to welcome what comes next, perfectly summing up the theme on this album. The sunset on the golden age is goodbye to pretending to be pirates, because now Alestorm will embody that pirate spirit, regardless of what they do. Also, I know I already said it before, but the acoustic bonus tracks on this album are unmatched. You hear the subtle differences they've added over time to each song, and there's something nice and intimate feeling about it. It's to a point I say this is the definitive version of Nancy the Tavern Wench. Man, if this album is this good, can you even imagine how awesome the next three gotta be? Well, hold on to your hats, because this next part is gonna be tough. In the best way, of course. Number 3. I want to preface these last few albums with the fact that any of these albums could easily top this list. I must have listened to each of these multiple times more than the others, just because I wanted to accurately rank them in this video. Ultimately though, they gotta have an order. But make no mistake, these albums are Alestorm, through and through. With that being said, taking the bronze medal in today's ranking, we have Alestorm's newest work, The Thunderfist Chronicles. And it earned its place. Pretty handily, too. While this album has the least amount of songs among any other Alestorm record, it makes up for it in the sheer power of its tracks. I don't even know if I can get that across without going track by track. Yeah, you know what? That's actually what we gotta do. Hold on. Hyperion Omni Riff is an incredible intro. So heavy and punchy, it feels like you're seeing them live, and the crowd is growing more and more restless. The pits are beginning, and the walls are splitting. It's just so hype. Kill to Death by Piracy is an instant all-timer. Just a perfect summation of Alestorm's sound. Banana keeps that up with this party metal anthem. It's almost too catchy for its own good. Frozen Piss 2 is hilarious, but not even because of the song itself, but in how serious it is, and how little it has to do with the title, and how there's no part 1. It's like an old school Simpsons joke, it's so meta. Not to mention that Japanese bridge is freaking ethereal. Then we all slow down for the storm. Just a really solid ballad type piece to belt out to. Mountains of the Deep. Okay, this one's a total guilty pleasure. The lyrics are absolutely ridiculous, and yet the music is catchy as fuck. Alestorm knew the gold they had mixing the subject matter with this tune. Honestly, it's probably my most listened to song on the album. And I don't know if I should be proud of that or not, but I'm not going to think about it right now. Goblins Ahoy is a cover from the band Necrogoblicon, and while I don't listen to this one a lot, admittedly, it's a great interpretation. And then we have our final track, Mega Supreme Treasure of the Eternal Thunderfist. Sounds like something you'd get at the Scholastic Book Fair, which takes up nearly half of the record's entire length. While I think this track is everything it sets out to be, it's not one I listen to over and over. It's not that I don't like it because it's a long song. I mean, some of my favorite long songs are Albuquerque, Iowa, The Rite of Spring in its entirety. This one's just not that big on me, at least not yet. But since this video is a reflection on my thoughts at this moment, that's gotta be the deciding factor. Overall, Thunderfist is a powerhouse record. If it stuck the landing, it could have been even higher. And yet I don't think either of the next albums would be so willing to lose that fight. With that being said, let's move on. Number 2. Seventh Rum of a Seventh Rum wouldn't feel right anywhere else than 2. This album kinda has it all. It's a perfect balance of comedy and intention. Every song that isn't grand is hysterical. After the comedic powerhouse that was Curse of the Crystal Coconut, Alestorm decided to turn it all around this record. You hear it immediately in Magellan's Quest, Alestorm's most straightforward track since Black Sails. The album is full of powerful tracks like that. From the Battle of Cape Fear River, which didn't even involve Blackbeard, but like, this song still slaps, so who cares? Maybe that's the joke, actually. Where was I again? Oh yeah, From Cape Fear River to Under Blackened Banners, it's clear Alestorm is here to prove they still got it. Not that it's all serious all the time. There's plenty of fun to be had in tracks like P-A-R-T-Y. They never did say what P-A-R-T-Y stands for. And Come to Brazil. It's more so the balance has been restored. And the production on this one is insane. Like they're flexing their hardest with how grand they can sound. I'm talking horns, strings, electronics, it's all there. And I love how we also have Alestorm basically covering themselves with Return to Tortuga and bringing another powerhouse ballad with the finale of the Wooden Leg Saga to a point where it almost brings you to tears, man. Man, with all that said, why is it number 2 and not number 1? Well, like I said before, I'm looking at these albums as albums, and albums are more than the sum of their parts. And Alestorm has one more album I think that's just a little stronger. A smidge. The tiniest bit. It's almost cruel I can't have it a 3-way tie. Number 1. Yeah, I'm sure this is a basic pick, but it just feels right to see No Grave But the Sea at the top. Everything I've said about everything Alestorm has is present here, and it leads this album to be the perfect Alestorm experience. There's never a dull moment for even an instant on this record. From the title track, it's clear you're in for something special. Then you slide right into Mexico, and it's clear Alestorm isn't playing around with their ability to balance wit with strong writing. To the End of the World brings back the epicness, and the band's self-titled song fits perfectly afterwards. Bar und Imbiss is a perfect slower number while keeping the energy up. And then we have the profanity-filled fan favorite Fucked with an Anchor, which is just a nice feeling song to listen to, because sometimes life gets you down and you just want to express it in the only way you feel is possible. From this point on, you'd think there'd be at least one clunker, but nah, No Grave But the Sea doesn't play you like that. Peg Leg Potion, while probably not being an Alestorm mainstay, has this lovely energy to it. And then we get to Man the Pumps. You know how earlier I talked about the epicness of 1741 and Wooden Leg 2? Well, this song actually pulls off the impossible, being both this grand storytelling moment while also being an analogy to something truly hilarious. And it's a personal favorite of mine. Rage of the Pentahook is a perfectly placed quick track. And Treasure Island, it might be Alestorm's best concluding number. In fact, after listening to it all, yeah, this is the best album closer. Every part of it is epic. From the verses, to the chorus, to that incredible bridge. And I think the thing that brings it all together is that acoustic bit at the very end, playing the melody of the title track, as if you're closing the book on this grand experience. Yeah, I think that says it all. This is Alestorm's magnum opus, and I can't think of a better way to end this list. Whew. Thank you for watching, guys. And if you could, feel free to like and subscribe. I'm not sure when I'll see you again, but I will. Take care of yourselves.